Hello everyone, it's Rachel. Welcome to my channel and to today's video, which is going to be Tobias's 12-month update and the last of all of Tobias's updates. It's crazy that it's been a year already. 12 of these updates. Tobias has grown so much. It's been so fun watching him develop. I look forward to looking back on these and seeing just the change, how much he's changed over the past 12 months. This will be the last one, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. His sleep is starting to get better again. We went through a rough patch through like 10 and 11 months where he was just having a lot of trouble falling asleep and he was having trouble sleeping through the night. He still has some difficult nights, but usually he is pretty easy to get down. He doesn't fuss as much about going down, and he does have nights where he will sleep through the night till usually around 5:30, and then he'll wake up and have trouble going back to sleep again. So I'm glad he's finally starting to have some good nights, especially with being pregnant. Having that little extra sleep is really helpful. In the last update, I talked about how we considered dropping his morning nap. He is not quite ready for that yet. He has some mornings where he's really difficult to put down and he doesn't want the nap, and so we put him down for an earlier afternoon nap, but most days he needs that morning nap and he's not quite ready to drop it yet. So probably a couple more months, closer to when he's 18 months, is when we will consider dropping that nap. But right now it's not quite time yet. I've had people ask me if he's saying words or anything. He's not really much of a talker. He does babble a lot, but he's not really focusing right now on learning words. He's more focused on his mobility and getting around. He can say a couple words, he can say mama, but it's not really saying mama. It's kind of just babbling. And he can also say num num, which that he specifically uses when he's hungry, or if we're feeding him at the table and he's like, hey, I want some more food, and that's how he gets our attention. Or pointing. He uses pointing a lot too, pointing at his cup if he wants his cup, or his food if he wants more food. But those are the two that he says the most. Other words he hasn't quite picked up on yet, but I'm not really too concerned about that. I mean, he is very focused on his mobility, so I'm expecting him to talk a little bit later, so I'm not too worried about it. It doesn't seem to be a development issue or anything. He's just gonna be a later talker, and that's fine. I don't remember if he was doing this in the last update, but he is full on crawling now. He pretty much never army crawls anymore. It's just hands and knees crawling. I think he's found that it's a little bit faster and more efficient to get places, so that's now his new mode of transportation, which is great. I mean, I've heard it's really good for I don't know if it's their brain or something, just the coordinating their hands and knees is really good for them. So I'm glad he's finally picked up on that, but it does mean he's a lot faster, so I have to chase him around a little bit more or be a little bit quicker on my feet if I'm trying to keep him from getting into something. He also really enjoys pushing his high chair around the kitchen because it's got the legs at a good enough space where he can spread his arms out and hold on, and then he'll just push it around. It's good practice for walking, and yeah, he has a lot of fun with that, except for when the chair gets stuck and he gets a little bit upset. He is still definitely not quite ready to be walking on his own. He's walking across furniture, like I said before in his previous update, but he is still pretty unsteady on his own. He's not very comfortable not having support. If you walk with him with both hands, he loves that, but if you let go and try to get him to walk while only holding one of his hands, he does not like that very much because he feels very unsteady and unstable. So it'll probably be a couple more months. He is eating really well now. I talked with his nutritionist a couple days ago, and she said the amount he's eating is really good. His stomach suddenly got so much bigger, or he's just a lot more interested in food. And I know that probably helps that he is now eating purees. He did not like purees before, but now he actually really enjoys them, and so it makes it a lot easier to feed him because there's so many more options. He loves his yogurt. We find purees is the best way to get him fruits and vegetables. Fruits He will eat solid, usually. Vegetables, not so much. He is not really a fan of his vegetables unless they're in puree form. Then he seems to enjoy them a lot more. But also with him eating purees now, we can also give him, like, if I make a soup, he'll have the soup because it's kind of the same thing as the puree, just maybe a little bit funnier. It just makes it so much easier to feed him now that we have more options of ways to give him things. He's not very interested in meat or eggs, so those are some things we're trying to work on. I know the nutritionist said French toast is a really good way to get egg into them, and the meat, we're just kind of, if we have meat, we try to offer him some. Usually he just spits it out and doesn't eat it, so like we'll try to sneak it in. But yeah, that's something we're going to be trying to work on, is just giving him more meat. In the meantime, we're just giving him lots of, like, he likes beans, so giving him beans, peanut butter, just other protein-rich foods so he can get his protein that way. He's also been snacking a lot. He really loves his food now, which is great. His weight has been going up, so his weight isn't really a concern anymore. The nutritionist sounds like he's doing really well. So really happy to hear that. Usually in the morning and then later in the afternoon, he'll get a little bit cranky and want a snack. Snack time and meal time are some of his favorite times of the day. So I'm still working on weaning him. I think I'm still doing the same amount of feedings as I was in his previous update. So usually probably around 5 times a day. I'm not really feeding in the night. I try to avoid feeding at night now as much as possible. I feed him before bed, but I do not feed him throughout the night unless for some reason he's just really wanting it. Like he can't seem to fall asleep without it. Then I will give him a feed, but I usually won't give him a full feed. But generally, I try to avoid that as much as possible, so it's just feeding throughout the day. I talked with his nutritionist about some ways to drop feeds, and basically she just said to drop the ones that he's the least interested in. So what I did today was after breakfast, I left it. Usually what I would do is either I'd feed him right after breakfast or right before his afternoon nap. This time I did not offer it to him, and he was totally fine. He didn't really care, didn't seem to miss it or anything. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Probably drop the feeds after meal times first and save the early morning one and the bedtime one until a little bit later. My goal is to have him fully weaned by the time baby comes, preferably a few months earlier than that too. We'll see. But I would definitely like him to be fully weaned by the time baby comes, so I don't have to worry about feeding too. I know I've heard it can be helpful sometimes because then you have another child to help you deal with engorgement. But I would prefer to be just having to breastfeed one instead of both. I feel like it would just be a little bit easier, and I don't mind like pumping or hand expressing if I'm feeling engorged or something. He got some new toys for his birthday, which was, by the time you're seeing this, it was a couple of weeks ago. And that has been so helpful in keeping him entertained. Because before, he was not really interested in any of the toys we had because they were pretty much for 6 months and younger. And he had outgrown them. We hadn't really gone and bought any new toys just because he was so fascinated with playing with stuff around the house. I was concerned about getting him something and him just not really playing with it. And also, by the time we really noticed he was disinterested, it was getting closer to his birthday, and so we thought we might as well just wait. So he was just playing with all my kitchen utensils, Tupperware, anything random he could find a way to play with it. But now that he has actual toys, it's been so much easier to keep him entertained. He'll be following me around the kitchen, and then he'll just go into the hallway, which is now his little playroom, and play by himself with his toys and stuff. And it's just been so helpful. So much easier for me to be able to get stuff done when I don't have to try to keep him out of cupboards and from playing with like my glass stuff and things like that. It's just made things so much easier, and now he has a lot more fun because during the day there are more things to keep him entertained, and I find he can entertain himself longer and I don't have to be there as much. And I think that wraps up this last baby update. Thank you guys so much for being here and for watching these, and I hope you have enjoyed them. Seeing Tobias grow and develop over the past few months, or the past year, I guess. If you want to see more videos of him and how he continues to grow, then be sure to check out my vlogs. I usually try to vlog about once a week. I've been a little out of schedule just with dealing with the pregnancy and everything. The first trimester, everything got all out of whack, so I'm just trying to get back into routine. But the plan is to do one vlog a week, so be sure to stay tuned for those to see more of Tobias and see him continue to grow, learn to walk, that kind of thing. And if you want to stay up to date with my pregnancy and baby number 2, you can stay tuned for that as well. I'll be doing pregnancy updates and other baby related videos. So thanks again for being here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.